I just realized I haven't done a YouTube vlog in far too long. So, I'll do a YouTube vlog. This now, this is silk mixed with dog hair. Uh, this dog. Come here, you. This dog specifically. This very old girl, she's 12, came to me last year. She was living in a bus down the road and not being properly supervised or cared for. Well, had a distraction. I don't even know what all I just said. Just basically said, I haven't vlogged for a while and introduced you to my dog. That's right. So yeah, previous home just did not have the capacity to properly supervise, manage, and maintain her. She was dirty and matted and smelly and very, very thin. She weighed 2.5 pounds. Now she weighs almost 10. She's slightly overweight, or she might have a tumor. Sometimes I wonder, but I'm prone to worry. Most of the time, she just looks like a pretty happy little dog. Um, so that's one of the things that's happened. She came over here 3 times before I finally just stopped waiting for her owner to give me permission to keep her, and went over and informed him that I was keeping her. We had been discussing it for quite a bit. In fact, I'd first met her on prospect of him offering me the dog. I was sitting on top of my bus doing wool, and I can't remember. He was chasing his dog. His dog was out at large, as his dogs often are. And I laughed, said something, I don't know what. But he says, if you want one, if you want a dog, I got too many. And he was joking. And I joked back, it'd have to be under 5 pounds, under 10 pounds. Or no way. And he goes, actually, I do. And he told me about Taylor and how she was his mother's dog, and he knew already at that point that he wasn't doing right by her. He couldn't keep track of her. He'd already lost her brother. Her twin brother had been lost to traffic for doing what Taylor was going to start doing after having met me. So I went over to his bus to meet this little dog. I was warned by the narcissistic girlfriend, who didn't last long, her addiction got in the way, that the dog bites and hates everybody. And I realize now that no, the dog bites and hates you and your friends for good reason, trying to protect her human from you. But anyways, he has a habit of picking bad women. So the little dog started coming to see me every few weeks across dangerous traffic, just helping herself to come to visit me. So after the third visit, I put a leash on her, walked over, told him I was keeping her. So that has kept me sustained through the winter. I tried to cease. I tried to get off the planet a couple of times last winter. The first attempt was to not eat for a month, and I couldn't quite not eat. I went for low calorie but nutrition stuff like gelatin, um, in just stuff that would keep me going. Coconut water, gelatin, seaweed, stuff that didn't give me a whole lot of nutrition, and I lost a ton of weight. Um, then some things came through for me that gave me hope, gave me some hope. So I quit doing that to myself. It was like, okay, circumstances have changed. Some people have come to my side. I will not, simply starve myself this winter. Maybe next winter. And then I tried again later because things started falling apart. And I tried to fill the bus with carbon monoxide and came to the conclusion that whole thing is somebody made that up. Carbon monoxide is not actually that dangerous, but they want us to think so because only thing I can think of, it's a handy excuse for disappearing whole families. Like, oh well, the whole family went in one night. There wasn't the witness protection plan. We didn't just disappear them off to El Salvador. No, 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 no. It was carbon monoxide. We'll have a funeral and stuff. So I don't know, but that was really, really disappointing. But somewhere in the midst of all the anguish and worrying, that quiet voice that I call magic came whispering. It said, no, 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 we're going to do this for you. So what this is there's this little house on the water, a float house. And I do mean little, it's a tiny home. And it's twice the size of my previous home. In fact, my previous home was a micro home. This one is a tiny home. It's under 1,000 square feet. But it's double what I previously had and quadruple what I currently have. So we're pleased about that. However, it comes with no basement, attic, or garden, or yard sheds, or storage. So if I can't fit everything in, I'll have to downsize, kind of thing. I'm not too concerned. I'm pretty sure I can do that. Yeah, the house has been sitting on. It was somewhere around last summer, I think, that the city changed the tax rules around rental properties to discourage short-term rentals, and then the marina themselves just plain outlawed short-term rentals. That's it. No more Airbnb. We realize what a beautiful spot this is for someone to come on a short-term rental, but we're tired of having a bunch of strangers wandering around here. So that's not to say you can't still have someone in your house, but you got to be resident. And nobody wants to live in this teeny tiny house at the end of a long dock, so it's waiting. And anybody I've told the price to, they're like, pfft, you know. And it isn't until I explain that a basement studio apartment anywhere in North Van is going to cost more than this sweet little house, they start to understand. Because a studio apartment that you have to pay a mortgage for, not rent. You're not renting it, you're buying it. It's a condo, is the standard option available. If you can find rent, you're paying between $2,000 and $3,000 rent for the same studio apartment. If you want to purchase a condo, you're looking at about $500,000. And whether you're renting or buying, you don't get to have dogs. There's very few apartment buildings, condos, whatever, that allow dogs. If you want to have a dog, you got to upgrade to a townhouse or a single home, a duplex, a housey house with a little yard. Bang! I don't want to do yard work. Now all of a sudden I got people complaining that I got to mow the lawn and I got to trim the hedges and... Oh, please. Please. I don't want to pay someone for it, and I don't want to do it. So I was out just looking at the real estate market, and this adorable little float home popped up. That, from what I can figure, $500,000, that is to say $500,000, would be sufficient to buy the house and pay all the fees associated. Spend $50,000 maybe on upgrades and repairs or whatever it might need. Changes like put in a workshop or put on solar panels or I don't know. Pay off the debts that are holding me back. I don't know if I can tell YouTube. Basically, my marriage resulted in me carrying a debt load of, I think it must be around $80,000 in taxes for I never did, but I did live off of the proceeds of. I lived okay. By today's standards, I lived well. At the time, I was living frugally. Anyways, because of this debt, I can't even get a job. I can't have a bank account. I can't get a job. I shouldn't say I can't have a bank account, but I don't dare rely on a bank account for deposits or savings. Because as soon as they find out where that bank account is, they come and take whatever's in it and take it off the top. And I'm so church mouse poor, taking it off the top doesn't even make a dent in the interest. I'm not even sure if they're still accruing interest. I sent them a long-winded, compassionate explanation of why this debt wasn't getting paid. And how I didn't have income, and I wasn't likely to have income due to my illness. But I don't know. They came at me and slapped back anyway, so that's still a burden on my head. So if that was taken care of and the house was bought, that would easily be done with $500,000 with enough left over for me to parcel it out carefully and get up to at least like up to 5 years self-supported living out of it, depending on how prices go and whether or not I do anything foolish and what I spend on. 2.5 to 5 years, possibly 10 if prices go down or interest goes up or whatever. Especially, definitely, it would help bridge the gaps of employment if I get like teaching work and teaching art classes or working for theater. Then of course that stake on of leftover last even longer and definitely carry me until I'm a senior enough for people to stop telling me to go get a job, you bum. So that's what's going on that side of things. And that's part of my depression, is knowing that I can't even just go get a minimum wage job and work my way out of trouble. The minute my social insurance number pops up, they'll just garnish you 100% of the wages. And, I won't be able to even get social assistance if I'm working such a job, even though the wages are being garnished. They'll be like, well, that's as may be, but it says here you have income, therefore, and your income is more than allowed, therefore you do not qualify for social assistance. And the fact that the income isn't coming to you isn't really part of our rules. I guarantee. The world is like that. In case you hadn't noticed, the world's getting uglier all the time. Oh, man, having any problems at all feels like, oh yeah, first world problems. At least you're not getting disappeared off to Alligator Alcatraz. And managing the knowledge of what's going on with my mental health and the guilt and shame that pours into me. Yet another one of the stresses in my life right now. Good things in my life. Well, I've been volunteering with a theater called I've been volunteering with a community theater, and I've been going in for every opportunity possible. I love that stuff. And that's my name on there. And that's all kinds of other names going back to 1982. It's called the Emily Award. And Emily smoked cigars in the sound booth. So this represents Emily. And the award is given out to people who put in a lot of dedication and effort in. And it's their way of saying thank you. We appreciate you. And it's one of the little things that's helping me feel good. Because no one's ever said that to me like to where I know they mean it. So I was hoping that would turn into theater employment. But I'm starting to sincerely doubt that it will. But it has turned into something fun, positive, and networky. I'm connecting with people. I'm establishing my character in the community as a person you can trust, as a person who has value. And I'm getting to know some people, and I'm having chances to talk to and interact with people. And it's outside of the politics and the finances and everything else. It's like it's this little art. We can all just focus on that and not worry about that other stuff. And so it's been a really positive force in my life, whether or not it results in work. But again, there's that whole thing of I cannot get a legitimate job anyway. So I've been volunteering with theater. And next week, next week someone's coming to visit me. No, not coming to visit me. Yes, meeting me for coffee while they're out from Ontario to visit other people. Yeah. It's just somebody I met on TikTok, and there's nothing in it except we have a lot of things in common, and let's get together for coffee because I'm in town. But it's a highlight for me. My car is getting service. I was able to save up enough money to pay for that, although it doesn't sound like I'm getting the service I want. I'm not paying for the service I want because it's a third of the usual cost. I mean, when I used to take this thing to Mercedes to get this particular B service done, man, it was $600 to $700. And these guys are quoting me $200 to $300. Wow. And they said they're not taking off the front, they're not taking any panels off. How are you getting it all the works at the front without taking off the panels, I'm wondering. But, no. At least it'll have its oil changes and its grease points, and it's getting the differential oil changed, and they've gone and checked things over, and if it needs belts, they're saving me a lot of grief. And then I'm going to be working at Hendry Hall for the next season, starting the mid to late July. They already have asked me directly, please, we want your skills. And that's just like, yes, okay. And somewhere along the line, I was doing TikTok videos. That's why I haven't been posting to YouTube, is I post to TikTok where I get feedback. I actually get comments and views. Unlike YouTube, which is a void for me. I like the entertainment incoming. Love that hermitcraft. There's just never enough. But in terms of getting feedback from YouTube, oh, is there anybody in there? Oh. So yeah, over there on TikTok, I did some shorts teaching drawing. Just, this just a principle of drawing. This is how you proportion a face. This is how you do perspective. And I went, oh my God, I know everything I need to know to teach art. I know how to teach. I know how to draw up a lesson plan. And I can visualize every step of teaching these things. And I know all of the principles that I need to teach. I may not remember them all at once, but if I give myself some time and some note forms, they're all going to come out. And I'm well underway at working on it. I don't work on it every day like I wish I did. But that kind of brain thinking, it's not just that I have to be intelligent, but I have to be intelligent about people. I have to understand what my students are going to be able to deal with. Not just get the information out of my head, but get it out in an educational way. So my brain isn't up to that every single day. Once it's all written down, then following my own script should be easy enough. But that's a really exciting factor. And from what I've been able to determine, a student can be expected to pay anywhere from $100 to $200 per class for art classes. Okay, so 5 students and 4 classes a month. That's 20 times 100. That's $2,000 a month. Hello. I earn more than that. I actually have to start having it taken off the top. That's my exemption amount. If I double that, I don't need to rely on the government for anything. I can actually pay my own way. 10 students. Just 10 students. 2 classes a week. The same 2 classes to 2 different groups. I can live off that. I got real excited. So I've been working on that. And that's one of the things that's keeping me going. And probably could do that. The tax debt still gets in the way at some point, but I could probably at least take that money in as cash for a few months before it got into big problems. It would be ideal if I had my debts paid, I was established in a home, and I was doing these classes to support myself. Because then I could just pay an accountant, the same one who helped me deal with whatever caused me to have enough money to pay off my debts. Could then also help me make sure my taxes got taken care of on a regular basis. These are the things I daydream. Today, no, I'm not going to talk about that person. There's a negative person who's still in my life, and I was going to tell you about how annoying it was that I kept getting into trouble because of their attitude. But I'm not going to talk about that any further. I'm going to yeah, we're at 20 minutes. So I think this vlog kind of covers in broad strokes anyway. I'm still living in the bus, um, living in the bus on the street, an industrial area. I've basically determined that I'm not going to make friends with anyone else down here living in their vehicles. They just, I just don't connect. I barely connect to the people at the theater, at least educated. I can connect with people if they have enough education that we can connect on that level. Or if they're creative enough, we can sometimes connect on that level. But I can't just connect on like standing around smoking weed together level. No, I think I've about covered the broad strokes. Oh, yeah, no, you're right. How do I like Vancouver? Still do. Let's put it that way. It's not my first big city, so I'm not having to cope with disillusion. It's not even my first time in Vancouver. I understand what big cities are like. I knew Toronto when I was a kid. None of the downsides are new to me. So as far as big cities go, it's got all of the usual icks of a big city. But once you get past the fact that it's a big city, you just have to start recognizing that it's got the best transit in Canada. Not in the world, possibly North America, but definitely the best transit in Canada, bar none. No, I have not spent time in Montreal. But if Montreal was all that good, I'd have heard something about it. I've heard about Toronto's, and I'm familiar with Toronto's system, and it's a close second. So we got incredible transit, of course, the views. I mean, come on, what do you see when you're in Toronto? More buildings and the horizon. You go down to the lake, you get to see lots of water and the horizon. Well, of course, there's Center Island, but you know what I'm saying. You got buildings, you got water, you got sky. That's all you really see in Toronto. That's not all Ontario has to offer. That's all the city has. Oh, and then there's valleys. There's some nice valleys, usually with some stupid damn freeway running through them. Hello, Don Valley. So now you're down to the little narrow ravines. Well, Vancouver's got those too. But when I look out the window, I see more trees than buildings. Even from downtown, I see the mountains. Like when you're straight up downtown, okay, it's all buildings, but you can see through and between them. And you can see these incredible vistas off in the distance because you got mountains everywhere. You go across the Lionsgate Bridge, you can see all the way to Mount Baker in Washington. Blew my mind because I thought that was east. I'm like, what mountain is that? Washington State? Wait, but they're far south of us. That's how far away that sucker is. That it's showing up over the horizon so far off that the 40-degree angle off cardinal direction takes us across the border and down deep into Washington State in the viewpoint. Like, and then when I look the other direction, I can see all of the Vancouver, all of Haida Gwaii is what I'm looking at, and Vancouver Island. And then it's just, the views in this city. Even when I'm off in Langley or Burnaby, I'll look up and I'll see like the North Vancouver Mountains off in the distance, or I'll see the Rockies off to the east. And there's lots of this, and it's terrible for biking, but it's great for variety because you'll be down in the valley and there's like trees everywhere and a creek down in the bottom, and all of a sudden you're on top of the view and you can see for miles and miles and miles and miles all the way down the road. Just wow, love it. It gets me excited. I've determined it takes me 40 minutes to ride my bicycle across Lionsgate Bridge into downtown, and that I'm actually capable of it, although I still have to do the climb on foot, walk the bike up the climb. But my overall strength and power is improving. I'm able to handle far more biking and far more hillage than when I first arrived. And the beaches, there's so many of them. So many. Some are sand. Most are rocks or gravel, as you'd expect, because it's mountains. It's the Rocky Mountains. It's a young shore. But there are also large sandy stretches. Like Spanish Banks is nothing but sand for miles when the tide's out. And then the sea. Oh, I have been craving the sea my whole life. As a kid, I used to just hang out on the beach in Ontario, listening to Lake Ontario's waves roll up on the shore. And then as an adult, stuck in Saskatchewan, I would go down to the river and it felt like chewing on ice when you chew one as a big old glass of water. They give you that ice in the hospital instead, and you're chewing on ice chips, and what you really want is to drink water. That's what it felt like for me. And then coming here, I'm within 10 minutes walk of the sea at all times. And I just long here. It's home. So my most depressed times are when I'm out of food, out of electricity, and having trouble paying for the heating fuel. So in other words, to this day, when I get really miserable, there's darn good reason for it. And I'm less miserable than other people would be in the same circumstances, except that other people don't know the circumstances. And so if they judge me as being excessively miserable. They go, well, I think I know how I would feel. And they only know like this much of the problem. But there's also my hernia's on full blow. Like it's a mess. It's always hurts. In order to have any kind of bowel movements, I have to massage the stuff through my stomach now. It's crazy, and I can't get surgery if I haven't got plumbing and sanitation. And I'm still picking up my toilet every night to dump it. So, yeah, my health, my teeth, I've got cracked teeth on all four sets of molars now, have at least one damaged tooth, and I'm using tea tree oil and sensitivity toothpaste to keep them in line. I'm just waiting for them to start crumbling out of my head. I mean, I've lost a big chunk of one of them. It's gradually rubbing smooth. So, that's another one of the things I would do if that $500,000 landed on my head, is I would go to the dentist, get my teeth done. Dental coverage in BC. It turns out that what they really mean is we'll give you a 30% off coupon if you are poor. If you're too poor to pay for the dentist, the government will cover you for a 30% off coupon for all your dental visits until you have spent $1,000 of our coupon money, and then you're completely on your own. So you only have to pay 70% of the bill until we've covered $1,000 in discounts. And then it's all your problem. So, well, I'm not really sure what a crown costs, but let's say I get a crown put on my face and it costs $1,000. Because the last time I had a crown done, it was about $500. It's probably more like $2,000 now, but we'll say it's $1,000. That means I've got to come up with $700 cash for one, and I've got 4. Get it? It's not going to happen. Yeah, I've been thinking about just getting them pulled. That's probably $150, which means that I have to come up with $105 out of pocket, which is my monthly grocery budget. I guess I won't need to eat if I have no teeth. No, chewing food becomes no longer an option, which means that I can't afford even more of the foods that the poor people can afford. I have a really hard time finding things I can eat. I'd rather chew on pain and be able to chew. So that's going on. I worry sometimes. I feel like my time is drawing short.